Today I am ill, so I will actually be making split pea soup. Please forgive the state of my kitchen while the peas are soaking. I will be cleaning the rest of my kitchen, see. So, I like green split peas, and you should actually look through and make sure that there aren't any stones. I don't understand the people who just dump it into their soup hole. That doesn't make any sense. They need to be washed and soaked. Otherwise, you're going to get some really weird peas. But then again, I like a fine pureed, creamy split pea soup. So, we're going to start it. Woohoo! They're not always very clean when they come, so you really do need to clean them even before you start soaking them. You know, just FYI, make sure they have all the dirt from the field off and, you know, all those things, because, you know, they are grown in dirt. These are a legume crop. Peas are a really wonderful crop that people plant, lentils and peas, in off years to add nitrogen back to the soil. They're a great crop for crop rotation. So eat peas because it's good for the land. Peas and lentils and other legumes like this. Now that I have washed the peas, they are going to soak. I didn't exactly measure the amount of water, but they need to soak a while until they swell. They need to swell quite a bit. So I've seen quick split pea recipes, but those always look kind of weird to me. I always think of making split pea soup as being rather a long process if you don't want it to be bitter and tasteless. But everybody has different tastes, so this is just my own recipe. Amazingly enough, after some time, look, the kitchen is clean. Well, at least this side, the only side you need to worry about. The other side is still under mission organization. These have been soaking for a while, but they're still really hard, so they're still not ready according to my standard. But they are getting, the water is getting a little bit milky-ish. It's not really milk. Something soaking in water doesn't make it milky. Turbid. The water is getting more turbid, so it's getting closer to being ready. So, these are almost ready now. But in the time, see, they've almost like doubled in volume. In the time that I've been waiting for these, I have made this, which probably looks like a mess, but it's totally delicious. It's seekh kebab and green bean curry. Now that I've, you know, eaten lunch and taken a nap and talked to my parents and, you know, all sorts of stuff, I've decided to continue making the soup. Those peas have pretty much absorbed as much water as they're going to absorb, so what you will do now is you will strain them and rinse them again, and then you'll start boiling. I prefer to strain them and rinse them. That gets rid of a lot of the gas-causing stuff with peas. But, you know, while you're in the process of cooking, you may as well cook other things. So this is rice, sela rice, for like making plain pulao, which is just basmati rice cooked with onions. But not just plain white rice, because that's not very tasty. It's a dish all by itself. So, you know, while you're cooking, you may as well cook like two things, right? So that's the plan. And now you can clearly see how much bigger they've gotten since, you know, the first time you washed and rinsed them, when they were kind of way at the bottom of the strainer. This is this exact same strainer that we used before. They're a lot heavier, so they're clearly being, I don't know, reanimated, as if, you know, they're like mummy peas or something. So we will then dump them in our pot and fill it with water and start boiling them by themselves. Don't add the other parts, just boil the peas by themselves. At this point, there's going to be somebody who disagrees with me and says that, why did you throw out all of the rinse water? You should have retained some of it to add later for, I don't know what, thickening purposes. If your soup is not thick enough, you can always thicken it with a roux or with cornstarch. In my experience cooking legumes, if you want to reduce the gassiness of your legumes, because let's admit it, legumes give you gas, you have to throw out that first rinse water. In fact, if you really want to eliminate the gassiness, you will soak them, throw out the water, boil them, throw out the boil water, and then just use the peas a second time. But that doesn't work so well with these peas because these peas will fall apart on boiling. But it works well with like garbanzo beans. That's another video for another time. The only other reason I can think of to save the rinse water, the soak water, is to enhance the pea flavor. Doesn't that sound really weird? Enhance the pea flavor. I don't see a reason to do that. I think that's useless. These are my own thoughts because this is my own recipe. The main reason that you cook the peas separately, well, there are several reasons, but one of the main reasons is this froth that you get when you cook legumes. You need to remove this. Just take it, with your spoon and just scoop it out. This is very bitter. It makes your soup not taste very good. And pea soup should be naturally kind of sweet because the peas are naturally sweet. The carrots are sweet. If you caramelize the onions, they're sweet. So you need to remove that froth, and that's one of the major reasons why you need to cook the peas separately from your onions to begin with. So now this has been simmering long enough that these peas, when you go like this, they start to fall apart. They're really getting very soft now. They start to look like pea soup. It's been simmering long enough that my rice is finished. The rice is for something else. So now we start the next part. And the next part involves onions, carrots, potatoes, and an assortment of spices. I've seen some recipes where people don't seem to put any spice other than salt and pepper, which confuses me greatly. You want ginger garlic paste for flavor for the garlic, and the ginger helps reduce gasiness. It's paprika, salt, of course. Now the thing about Italian seasoning, you look at the recipe: marjoram, basil, rosemary, thyme, oregano, savory, whatever that is, and sage. That's like a really good just general herb mix, but it doesn't have enough thyme. I'm out of time. I don't have enough time. I'm running out of time. Sorry. So you add more thyme to it. Tarragon is just a nice fresh tasting herb. You need more parsley, and it needs kick. Really, pea soup is bland. It needs some kick. Another thing that works really well is curry powder, but you need a curry powder that you get from an Indian store, not from an American grocery store, unless it's like a British import curry powder, because the American grocery store curry powders are pretty terrible. Alright, so these are looking nice and caramelized. There's no meat in this dish. I can't eat pork because I'm Muslim, and also because pork, even if I wasn't Muslim, pork gives me migraines. All ham, cured meat gives me migraines. But that doesn't matter because the main thing that ham gives to this pea soup is salt. We can add salt. So here, this is about 2 teaspoons of the ginger, garlic ginger. This is a nice big teaspoon of Italian, 1/4 teaspoon of thyme, 1/4 teaspoon of tarragon, 1/4 teaspoon of parsley. I guess no, these are half each. This is a 1/2 teaspoon of paprika. This is a 1/4 teaspoon of curry powder. This is 1 teaspoon of salt. So now that my onions look like this, I like caramelized onions because it starts to bring out the sweetness of the onions. Then I'll start to add the carrots and the spices and start to cook those together. As there is no meat in this, the only fat is whatever oil you add. Oil is really important for carrying flavors. I prefer to kind of cook the potatoes in the oil first because I feel like that gives it just more flavor. So this is about... Now I've added the herbs in and it smells absolutely divine. I'm going to add a little bit of water, let it simmer. Not a lot of water, just a little bit of water. And it's really important right now to add boiling water. So I have a tea kettle. You need to add the boiling water because you don't want to stop the cooking process. If you add cold water, the whole cooking process stops. You have to add boiling water. So I have a tea kettle and I have water already boiled in my electric kettle because you drink tea. So put a little bit of water from your already boiling water from your electric kettle in and just let it simmer for a few minutes to totally let all those spices mix in. It smells absolutely divine right now. You could probably just cover this with cheese and just eat it like this. Or no cheese and just eat it like this. And it'd be just a delicious. Yeah, it's looking delicious enough to eat all by itself now. Simmered in a little bit of water to make sure that the carrots and potatoes are all cooked, and it's ready to add to the peas. The peas are back here. I turned them off so they wouldn't splatter. At this point you have to decide that you like chunky pea soup or not, because if you like chunky pea soup, just add it, just stir it up and serve it as is. If you like smooth pea soup, you want to blend it and then strain it. So of course, obviously, transfer this to the bigger pan, the rice pan, but look, there's the rice, all done. So you decide if you want to eat this chunky, just adjust the salt and eat it like this. If you want to make it spicier, you can add other seasoning, or you can puree it. I like it pureed. That's another. So obviously, I just used an immersion blender. You could use another thing. You can see it's totally smooth. If it's not totally smooth, you might have to strain it if there's still bits of uncooked peas. And now you'll need to taste it and adjust the seasonings. Mine needs more salt. And then you can, of course, add hot sauce or whatever. This is just about the perfect consistency for me. And it is pretty thick. So, very nice and thick. So there you go. That's about it. This one doesn't need to be strained. It turned out pretty perfectly. So, and this is my immersion blender. Woohoo! But you could use a regular blender. But yep, that's it.